This is the OTP presented by Farm Bureau Health Plans. When it's game day for your health coverage, trust Farm Bureau Health Plans to draw up a winning play for you. They've been backing Tennesseans for nearly 80 years. So pleased to welcome Titans head coach Brian Callahan here to the audio podcast studio at Ascension St. Thomas Sports Park. Well, tough Monday.
Yeah,
just
tough Monday. We call it what it is.
Your press conference.
Call it what it is.
Your press conference was pretty tough. So just to touch on a couple things from that.
Yep.
At your press conference, you were not willing to say who the starting quarterback will be at Indianapolis this weekend. You said you take a couple of days to decide. So between today and tomorrow, what are some of the factors that will go into the decision about picking the starting quarterback for Sunday's game?
I think first and foremost is what gives us the best chance to win a game, because that's all I really care about at this point, is try to put ourselves in the best position to go win and what that looks like. What does it mean for the team? What that decision isn't just solely for, one or two players. I mean, that kind of decision affects everybody. It's staff, it's coaching, that's players, the whole pot's affected by who is under center. And so we're going to take a deep breath and take a look at the game one more time, remove any emotion from it, because obviously those things can be emotional in the moment, and make sure that, whatever decision we make is the best one for our football team. It gives us the best chance to win. When you make the decision, is that something you plan to announce at your media availability at the start of the practice week on Wednesday? Not likely.
Not likely
to announce that. Yeah, there's not a real reason to for this particular week, and it doesn't really it gives a little bit, at least, competitive advantage away to announce that straight away and on a Wednesday morning. So I'll probably keep that one close to the vest for the remainder of the week.
Fair enough.
Yeah. All right. Let's move on to some easier topics here. Tajay Spears. Yeah. He got back on the scene in a big way against the Cincinnati Bengals. He had 92 yards from scrimmage. He had 2 touchdowns. Could you see that coming in practice last week?
Absolutely, I could. I thought Tajay's really, he's had an up and down year with some injuries and been in and out of the lineup, and nothing that was too serious, but just sort of took momentum from him to some degree, and to see the way he's practiced the last 3 weeks, and really the way he's played in the last 2 games has been a product of his practice consistency. He's been really good in the practices over the weeks, and Tony Pollard has missed significant practice time due to his injury, and so he's gotten a lot of reps and opportunity. I think you're seeing the effects of that on Sunday. He's kind of back to the Tajay that I was hoping to see a lot of, and he's had 2 really good games, I thought, just doing things the way they're supposed to be done and playing with a bunch of effort and energy and making plays with the ball in his hand. And so that was good to see, and hopefully that continues. And again, just due to Tony's fighting through some things too, we need him to play a pretty significant role like he did yesterday, and he answered the bell.
So do you see him continuing to take the lion's share of the snaps, or do you think that is the hope, I guess, that he and Tony Pollard share those a little bit more evenly over the last 3 games of the season?
I would like him to share, close to even. It's probably not going to be totally even. Again, a lot of that depends on how Tony feels. And, then the game got a bit, we had to start to throw a little more, and so we let Tajay take more of that just because, Tony's been pretty banged up. So, I'd like to see that be a little more even for both of them. I think they both can help our offense, and they both have really unique skill sets, and that's kind of what I've envisioned all along. And then Tony comes in and plays fantastic, and he shows he can handle the sort of lead back role. And then Tajay was sort of in and out with some injuries, and so there was never any consistency to how I would hope initially it was going to go. And like I said, and it's been really hard to not give the ball to Tony, because he's arguably been maybe our best offensive player over the course of the season, at least consistency-wise. He shows up every week. So, but yeah, I think it's that we're best when those guys are both fresh and rolling at a good rate. So, hopeful to kind of get that back to close to even-ish.
Let's switch gears a little bit and talk a little defense. The Bengals converted 10 of 13 third downs on Sunday. What has led to some of the defense's third down difficulties lately?
I think a lot of against Jacksonville, we had quite a few, third and shorts, high percentage conversion down in distances. And that was just they sort of nickel and dimed and got themselves in manageable spots and then converted. And then this week, I think it was more just the Joe Burrow factor. Him just extended a couple of those plays found some lanes and bought some time for guys to get open. So I think a couple of times there we were covered well, and then he did his thing, and that's hard to account for sometimes. And we had to do a better job plastering on receivers as the play gets extended. But that was probably the biggest issue this past week.
Luke Gifford went out and is now in concussion protocol. James Williams went in for him at the linebacker spot, 7 tackles. How did you evaluate his performance against the Bengals?
It was good. I think twofold. I think it's one fair to I do need to probably acknowledge how well Luke Gifford was playing in that game. I mean, he was really playing he's played last week and his snaps this week. He was playing a brand of football that was a guy that was trying to show he can play linebacker in this league. He's not just a special teamer, and he's been fantastic. So it's a bummer that he got put in the protocol. And then James came in, I thought, early. You see him trying to settle in some. He was a little bit out of place on a couple of things, and then you could see the game kind of moving a little fast to start, and then he settled in, and I thought he finished the game much, much better than he started. So that was good to see. I mean, that's his first significant snaps at linebacker, and as a young player, as a rookie, to get a chance to do that is great. And then you hope as he gets, you get your sea legs under you a bit, and you get used to what it feels like to actually play in the game, and you start to improve. And I think that's what's happened with a lot of our young players right now is the improvement due to being thrust into roles that maybe weren't necessarily anticipated to start.
James Williams, safety at Miami of Florida, 7th-round pick, converting to linebacker. Is he about where you thought he would be in that conversion right now?
I think he's maybe a little bit ahead of that even, just to see him be able to take meaningful snaps at linebacker in a spot that is difficult to transition. I mean, look at him. He was a massive safety when you look at he's a big dude, but I do think he's come a long way. I think Frank Bush does a great job with those linebackers in general, and to see him make that transition and then continue to be more and more comfortable. He's really grown on special teams, and that's where it starts. And he's started to make plays on special teams. He's not just out there doing his job. He's actually making plays on special teams. And to see him get some meaningful defensive snaps, I mean, you can tell he's got all the traits in the world to be a good player, and got a chance to see a little bit of it last week.
All right, we've let too much time pass without talking about T'Vondre Sweat, because the play of the game was him taking that ball from Joe Burrow and running down the field 30 yards. It was incredible. There were so many things about that play that just make it so much fun to watch. What stood out to you, Brian Callahan?
I mean, the stiff arm was pretty remarkable.
Right.
And then just, the athleticism for a man his size is pretty impressive. I mean, he's the definition of rumbling and bumbling and stumbling down the field. But I thought it was just great effort on his part, the awareness to go get the ball. As Joe's kind of on top of a body, so he wasn't down, and to go get the ball out of his hands and then, get a return and positive yards out of it was awesome. I've not seen guys do that very often, so that was cool. But I think the coolest part for me is when you watch what happens when he's on the sideline and just how excited the team is and how much energy they have. And that was a really awesome moment in an early part of the game that I was like, oh, this might be our day today, early in that game with the way we had started it out.
Was there a player or coach who got the most excited for him in that moment?
Oh man, the people were going wild on the sideline, so I'd have to go back and look at it again. But yeah, I can't off the top of my head think of someone. I think it was pretty much pandemonium on the sideline. I had to get out of the way because I'm trying to get ready for the next offensive play, and everything sort of converges like right on top of me, and I sort of run out the back and try to get away from all the melee inside of jumping around and slapping heads and all that stuff. So
it was cool to see.
It was pretty fantastic.
When
we realized he had the ball and he was running towards our broadcast position, it was like, that's T'Vondre Sweat, and he weighs 360.
Sure.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. He weighs a lot.
And look at him go.
Yeah, he was moving. He was moving. He looked pretty natural with that ball in his hand.
He did. Mm-hmm. Is he going to end up on the goal line package at some point
just
now?
let Jeff lead block for Big Sweat.
Oh, I'd take that. I'd take that.
So how good was Simmons' block on the Pollard touchdown?
It was great. I mean, he did his job. He was in there for three goal line plays and did his job on all of them. So credit to him for going both ways there and playing a little offense and getting to unload as a fullback. But it's good to have him. I mean, he's a big, strong dude, and having him lead block and probably open some holes is a good thing for us in the low red zone.
Hey Titans fans, with a Kroger Boost membership, you'll score big with double fuel points, free delivery, and lots more. Go to Kroger.com/boost for details. Kroger, official grocer of the Tennessee Titans. Tighten up.
Home is at the forefront of all that we do. It's why we're so committed to caring for the places and spaces in which we work and live. Ashley, the official furniture provider of the Tennessee Titans. We welcome you back for more of our conversation with Titans head coach Brian Callahan.
Coach, what are the challenges of ending the season with 3 straight AFC South opponents?
It's anytime you play a divisional game, they mean more. It counts for more, regardless of what our record is, regardless of what their records are. They're divisional football games, and you every year you want to be able to win the games in your division. We've got 1, we've lost 2, and we got 3 to play, and we have a chance to hopefully finish with a winning record in our division. That would be great. That's the goal. See if we can't win 3 divisional games, and you look back and you go, well, we played pretty well in our division, and all you have to do in this league is take care of your divisional games first, and to give yourself a chance, because to get into the playoffs, you got to win your division, and so you want to play well against these teams. Obviously Jacksonville's out of it. Indy's still fighting, and Houston has already clinched the division, so that is what it is, but they're important games, and we want to win them.
All right, so you did not see Anthony Richardson at quarterback for the Colts on October 13th. You'll see him this weekend. What's it like preparing for the second-year quarterback out of Florida?
Well, you see his talent. You see why he got selected where he was selected. He's got a huge arm. He can really throw the ball down the field, and he's really a unique athlete. I mean, he's with the ball in his hand and him running the football and the challenges that poses. It's a whole different style you have to get ready for, and you have to play a disciplined brand of football with the quarterback run game. That's something that we've not been great at this year, so we're going to have to be on top of those things in this game. And then, when you get a chance to get him down, you got to get him down, and you got to get him on the ground, because he can break runs at any point, whether it's in the drop back pass game or the quarterback read game. He's got the ability to create explosive plays, and you got to respect that part of it. And I know he's had his ups and downs as a passer this year, but he's very capable of winning football games, and he's got really high-end talent. And so we got to be on top of making sure that talent doesn't get a chance to show itself on Sunday.
Running back Jonathan Taylor is back. Do the Colts try to pair Taylor with Richardson a little bit and make that their running back duo?
Yeah, they do a good job. I mean, I think Taylor had another 100-yard game again against a pretty dang good defense in Denver, and he's been a fantastic back in this league really ever since he's stepped into it. So he's dangerous. I mean, he can hit home runs, and he's big and physical. So it's a challenge, and then you pair that you got to be ready and able and disciplined enough to defend the quarterback run game with the read zone and all those things. It's a challenge. They do a really good job packaging those things together with those two players, and it makes defending the run very challenging.
You will see another piece dropped into the defense in DeForest Buckner. What does he kind of add to all that?
I think he's kind of the core of their defense. I think he's got he's really hard to block in pass protection. He can disrupt in the run game. He's a fantastic player, and you can see how much they have missed him, and then how much of an impact he has when he's in the lineup, because they're just a much better defense with him there. He's an impactful player, and anytime you have impactful interior D linemen, that makes life hard for offenses, and he's one of those guys that is really challenging to go up against every time you play him, because he can make plays in the run game and the pass game, and he's disruptive when he rushes the passer.
What's the challenge of going against a Gus Bradley defense?
They're always very well coached. That's the one thing about these defenses and going against Gus over the years is they're very sound. They're well coached, and Gus has a great feel for how to deploy the scheme. It's not an overly complicated scheme. It's not exotic, but he's got just enough to keep you off balance. He pops pressures in spots where maybe you don't expect it. He'll change up when you think you're going to get a particular look. He changes it. He's very aware of what they do and how they do it and what it presents to the offense, and does a great job of mixing those things together. So I've always had a ton of respect for Gus. They've always been hard defenses to play against, and they're always really well coached and disciplined in their approach. There's not a whole lot of easy yards when you play against Gus.
Hey Titans fans, SeatGeek makes it easy to find tickets so you can be a part of all the touchdown celebrations this season.
Whether you're buying or selling football tickets, SeatGeek is the place to do it. SeatGeek is the official primary ticketing partner of the Tennessee Titans.
The most disruptive idea in ticketing, a ticket that works. Expect the expected.
SeatGeek!
SeatGeek. Made a rookie mistake this football season? Maybe you should have had a Snickers.
Because now you can enter for the chance to turn those rookie mistakes into prizes, including a trip to Super Bowl 59.
Visit snickers.com/rookie mistakes for details. Brian Callahan, thank you so much.
You got it. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us for the OTP.